Hey guys, it's Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Paradigm Paradox, continuing Rio's route. So, we're looking for Ibuki, but I feel like we're going to run into Rio. Now, where could Ibuki be? I had no idea how Ibuki spent his time, nor did I know where he went after meals. As I looked around, a vector wandered up to me. I stroked its neck and murmured softly to it, "I don't suppose you can tell me where Ibuki is, or Moravia? Either one is fine." Yeah, vectors aren't exactly talkative. The vector couldn't answer, but it still seemed glad that I even asked. I looked for Ibuki without success. Soon I found myself turned completely around in an unfamiliar area. This isn't good. I don't remember this area. I should turn back. Yep, there he is. I was nervously scanning for a way back when I caught sight of a human figure. Huh? Who's over there? Is that Rio?
Okay, that shouldn't be a problem at this stage.
Rio walked out of one of the buildings, talking to someone still inside. Who's he talking to? Doesn't seem like it's Ibuki or one of the others. Rio wrapped up his conversation and noticed me as soon as the door closed behind him. Our eyes connected. He knew he couldn't just ignore me. He sighed and started walking in my direction.
What are you doing here?
I was looking for Ibuki and, Then I suddenly remembered I had something to say to Rio. I clasped my hands together. But more importantly, thank you!
Huh? What are you...
Lizzie's doing well. She won't turn into a vector thanks to the shot you gave her. I really wanted to see you again so I could thank you one more time. Rio looked at me, surprised, and then heaved an exasperated sigh.
It's like, why do you keep thanking me? It's making me fall for you.
Sir, you need to get out more.
I already told you. I only helped because I felt like it. You can save your thanks. And you said something about finding Ibuki. Well, he's not here. Go look somewhere else.
With that, Rio turned and started to walk off. Wait, please.
And do you not have an off switch?
If you're gonna be cold-hearted and douchey to me, it's gonna make me like you. I'm just saying. Who lives in that building? You were just talking to someone, right?
If you want to know, knock on the door yourself.
I wanted to, but it seemed a little abrupt. Rio paused in thought for a moment before continuing. Ooh, new CG. You know? I'm torn. It's not bad. It's not the best. Like, there's something about it that's almost there, but you know what I mean? Like, the, kind of sultry evil look in his eyes is good. You know? But, it's like, at first you're like, and then you're like, but something still feels off. Something still feels off.
So, gotten anything out of your visit?
Nothing yet. I figured a few things out. I feel like nothing yet, because I haven't figured anything out, right? Oh, save. Okay. Oh, whoops. Okay. So, nothing yet. Good. No, nothing yet. I felt like I was starting to figure things out, but that probably wasn't what Rio meant when he asked if I'd gotten anything out of my visit.
In that case, maybe it's best to keep in mind that ignorance is bliss.
You said something similar before. What do you mean by it?
What do I mean?
It seemed like Ibuki wasn't the only person filled with secrets I wasn't privy to. Rio, what do you know that I don't? Actually, you know what? If you kind of tilt your head sideways, and you kind of look at him on an angle, like your head at an angle, it's so much better. That's odd. I just noticed because I, leaned down to, scratch my head, and I was like, oh. So if you're staring at it straight on like this, there's something off. But if you angle your head and look at him from an angle, to the left, it actually looks good. It's really bizarre. I can't do it to the right because my bird's kind of under the right side of my neck, so I'd smoosh him if I did that, but that is really weird. Anyway. Rio remained silent as he turned his back and left for good. At this point, I think Rio's a bigger mystery to me than Ibuki or the others. He seems to know something, but he just makes cryptic remarks instead of telling me anything. I guess Ibuki's the same way. But is Rio on Ibuki's side, or is he an ally of the Blooms? I still can't figure it out. Rio wouldn't tell me anything. He just responded to my questions with more questions. It was extremely frustrating. I hope when we meet Uncle Yashima and we find out all of our backstory, we don't have to read it all again. You know what I mean? Because we just learned it all. So I really kind of hope it's like he explained everything to me, and then like they kind of just because you can't get to this route without doing Ibuki's route. So they have to know that you already know it. So there's really no reason to like go through the whole conversation again. Since he's not going to cough anything up, I'll just have to follow him. I'm sure I'll find out something if I do. With that, I decided on my first ever stealth mission. He probably is going to know you're following him. I tailed Rio from the shadows, but before long he exited the colony. Where's he going? Based on the direction, I don't think he's headed to Theta. He's got his own secret hideout, remember? The more time I wasted hesitating, the further away Rio got. Moving carefully so I wouldn't be spotted, I snuck along behind him. What happens when you get lost outside? Yikes, he sure walks fast. Surprising, considering the rough terrain. I had to be careful with my own footing, which meant I was always in danger of losing sight of Rio. Wow, how'd such a big chunk of rubble get here? That's dangerous. I realized Rio had vanished while I'd been distracted by the debris. Huh? No, wait! Where'd he go? I only took my eye off him for a second. I glanced around in a panic when... Hey, he knew you were following him. I'm like, my stealth mission. I'm like, I don't think you're as stealthy as you think you are. It's kind of hard to be stealthy. Did you see how vast the wasteland is that we're in? And like you're like, where are you hiding behind that twig on the ground? Rio called out to me from behind, and I almost shrieked in surprise. I felt a bit guilty for following him. I kept my eyes lowered as I turned around. How long are you going to tail me? Rio raised an eyebrow, clearly annoyed. He'd figured out my game ages ago. Well, you see... What do? I have to say something! I want to know more about you. I want information. I want to know more about you is probably the right answer for him, to be fair. Yeah. And I just want to know more about you. You know, yeah, his 3/4 Sprite, this one is good, and even the shock one is good. These ones are the best. Rio hesitated, taken aback for a moment. Huh. His reaction... I never thought I'd see such a look on his face, but his expression changed back in the blink of an eye. Huh. You want to know about me? His tone was mocking, which prompted me to snap back. Something wrong with what I said? Nope. You're just a curious little thing, that's all. He is mocking me! Talking down to me like I'm a kid. But I really need to know. I mean, to be fair, from his perspective, you kind of are, but also, then he's gonna get the hots for you, so that's... Anyway. I'd come this far. I couldn't back down now. I looked at Rio with a serious expression. Then I unloaded all the suspicions I'd built up since arriving at Tau. What's your deal? I don't think you're on the Vector's side, but you don't seem to be with the Blooms either. And you keep making it sound like you know something I don't. That's why I was stalking you. Stalking? There was an odd pause. I wasn't sure what to say next. Pfft. What do you mean? Huh? He's laughing. I was more shocked to hear Rio laugh than I was about being the target of his amusement. Up until now, Rio had only displayed 2 modes, apathy and mockery. If he had other settings, I didn't know about them. I like the fact that, you know, you're making him more attractive when he's a robot. Because, like, I like the robot characters, too. Yet here he was, blatantly showing his emotions. And by laughing out loud, no less. He can laugh. I do kind of like how she's like, he is literally a fucking robot. Seeing Rio laugh made me feel like I was actually meeting him for the first time. I felt happy. That was hilarious. That's on me for letting my guard down. I just wasn't expecting that. Who actually comes out and admits that they're stalking someone? I mean, you already caught me doing it. Your honesty is endearing, but man, you'd make a lousy detective. Well, good thing I never planned on being one. Rio grinned at me as I huffed angrily, but there was no longer any mockery behind his gaze.
You want to stalk me? Go nuts.
Sir. Huh? Really? I was so surprised that I actually took the offer at face value. Well, that's a relief. Now that you've caught me, I can take my time and trail you at my pace. I knew I was saying weird things, but Rio just kept grinning and let me run my mouth.
But then it's not stalking anymore, is it?
Then Rio started walking again, but his pace was noticeably slower than it was before. I'd already been spotted, but I still didn't want to lose sight of my target. I hurried after him. So where are you going?
What if I said, I'm headed to the edge of the world?
I don't think I can travel that far. I'll go as far as I can, but after that I'll have to watch from a distance. Rio smiled at this, a different smile from his familiar wry grin.
I see. You're honest, all right.
So where are you really going? You're never going to get to the edge of the world because you're just going to make a circle and come all the way back.
I'll just go a little farther today.
Rio glanced back as he continued walking.
Gotta do something about this extra baggage.
I don't think he means me. I felt bad for inconveniencing Rio, but I was also happy he was letting me tag along. Conflicting emotions swirled in my mind. Did you say I don't think? Oh, I think he means me. I think he means me. Because I read that wrong. I don't think he means me. And I was like, I think he does. Like, okay. That was just me reading the sentence wrong. I think he means me. But I think he's changed his original plan because of me. I mean, probably. I can't let my guard down, but I think I've seen a softer side of him.
What are you smirking about?
I quickly composed myself, embarrassed that Rio could read my expression. I wasn't smirking. I wasn't smirking at all. Rio rolled his eyes as if to say, whatever. I trotted along, determined not to let him tease me. We walked for a while longer. When we stopped, Rio looked around as if sweeping the area.
All right, and this place looks fine.
I don't know what you're up to, but let me know if I can help. It looked like Rio was constructing something, so I offered to give him a hand. He had to change his plans because of me, and the least I can do is be useful.
All right then, help me set up camp.
Camp? You're camping here?
And that's what I said, right?
It's kind of interesting, because that came up in Ibuki's route, right? Ooh, where's your camp? And he's like, not telling you anything. But, so he doesn't... You don't live in Theta or Tau, you sleep outside. It's really bizarre. I knew how to camp, but I couldn't process the idea of camping outside a colony. For a second, I thought I'd misheard. I was told people die if they spend too much time outside a colony. Are you sure it's okay for you to camp here? And there might be vectors wandering around. I was pretty used to vectors by now, but after so many fights with them, I still regarded them with caution.
No need to worry about the vectors. I have weapons if it comes to that. Also, I'm used to living outside the colony. Camping's no issue for me.
That's so odd. With that said, Rio produced a backpack that he'd hidden in advance. It looked like he regularly stopped by this site, so he left the necessary equipment nearby. He started unloading tools as I watched. Alright, but why are you camping here? Why this spot specifically? Everything he was doing was just odd. Exactly, the man is odd. I'm intrigued.
You want to know who I am, right? Simply put, I survey the region.
You survey the region? So, he was a researcher? It was true that the commander and the Blooms worked out of the research district, and I saw Rio come and go from there too. Still, it's hard to believe that the researchers would be cool with Rio being in contact with Vector sympathizers. Is Rio acting alone, or is he under someone's orders? What a situation. As soon as I got an answer to one mystery, another took its place. Maybe he's the higher-ups. That would actually be kind of funny. How much does the commander know about what you do?
We don't talk about it directly, but he knows the gist of what's going on. He's sharper than you'd give him credit for.
Oh, he just admitted that with no problem. I was expecting Rio to get defensive, but no. It was a bit anticlimactic, really. At least he was open to talking. He continued talking as he continued to set up camp.
Misaki doesn't know about my motives behind surveying this region. I don't doubt he's figured out that I'm in contact with Ibuki and the others, but he's never brought it up around me.
Like, Yeah, but he's also in contact with the professor, so you can't really judge you for that, you know? So that means Rio's acting independently. He's in touch with the Vector side out of his own volition. Why doesn't the commander ever question you?
At first, I thought he was just turning a blind eye. That's probably not it, though. My guess is he has secret plans of his own. Stuff he can't talk about either.
So that's kind of fun. They're both actually kind of doing covert undercover shit, but they don't know what the other one. Okay. Stuff he can't talk about? You mean... Rio looked right at me for a moment before quickly looking away.
And that's enough talk for now. We have to finish setting up before sunset.
It was apparently all Rio planned to tell me today. He remained silent as he continued to make camp. I still had questions, lots of them, but I knew I wouldn't get anything else out of Rio tonight, even if I pressed him. Are we going to spend the night with him? 'Cause kinky, okay. I know, I'm just going to erase the age difference in my mind, but as I said that, I was like, oh, that feels weird to say, but whatever. I looked up. The sky was gray and hazy. It never changed thanks to the terrible air outside the colonies. It's definitely a good idea to get everything set up before sunset. Is there anything I can do to help speed this along?
And gather some fuel for the fire.
Fuel? The first things that came to mind were hydrogen and electricity. Surely that wasn't what Rio meant by fuel. Oh, he's going to teach you how to make a campfire. Girl, get some wood. Rio noticed my confusion and threw me a bone.
I mean wood. Grab those broken branches there.
Broken branches. Check. Of course, branches were the perfect fuel. I only knew the bare basics of camping, so even that simple fact hadn't registered with me. Right, because whatever camping you did inside of a dome, you know. I scouted around the area for broken branches as instructed. Broken branches. Here, broken branches. But no matter how hard I looked, I couldn't find so much as a useful splinter of wood. The little I found wasn't suitable for kindling. That's when I remembered something important. Poor environment means that plants can't grow outside the colonies. I don't see any live trees in the vicinity. How can I get around this? We'll burn through what little wood I've gathered in minutes. I looked up and saw a dead tree not too far from me. It was tall and bristling with withered branches. There's one! I dashed over to the dead tree with the energy of someone who just spotted a treasure chest. Good! Tree's dry. The branches should make a nice fire. I used my psychokinesis on the tree and it collapsed with no effort at all. Pieces of dead wood littered the ground. Now I had all the fuel I needed. I gathered up bundles of wood and used my powers to float everything back over to the campsite. Rio, look! I found fuel! Tons of it! The look on his face, the shocked Pikachu look.
Tons of it, eh? Don't you look pleased with yourself?
Huh? What's wrong? Rio grinned as if I just told him a good joke.
Just your choice of words. You didn't find anything. You just blasted it right off the tree.
Clearly he'd been watching me strip down the tree. But his smile wasn't nasty, nor was his tone sarcastic. He was honestly amused by the fact that I'd gone a bit overkill. Still, I pouted a bit as I dropped the branches.
And that's good. Incidentally, how long could you hang around outside for?
How long? I don't really know, actually. I wasn't sure how long I could survive outside the colony in my transformed state. To be honest, I'd never even thought about it.
Looks like the question hasn't crossed your mind. Well, it's already obvious you can handle the distance from Theta to here without an issue. Come here a sec.
Okay. As I walked over to Rio, I noticed the splendid tent set up nearby. It was the size of a cabin. Damn, he's got two! He set up a tent that big in a few minutes? Oh, it's like connected. It was evident Rio had access to other fancy tools in addition to the watch that protected him.
You might be transformed, but that doesn't mean we should risk you getting sick. Go on and get inside the tent.
I'm fine outside. I feel like we should do what he says. Oh, I'm fine outside! Wow, okay. I should be fine outside. The vectors don't really scare me anymore.
And that's nice, but we still don't know how your body will hold up in this environment. You should get in the tent just to be safe. It's an enclosed environment with the same oxygen system set up as the colony.
Cool! I didn't know that kind of tech existed! What's that? I spied a small machine with propellers close to the tent. It honestly looked more like a toy than a tool, but I couldn't picture Rio ever playing around with anything.
It's a small-scale remote-control airborne drone. It's equipped with a camera so I can record footage of the landscape. I can use it to scope out wildlife, minerals, patches of fertile ground, all the stuff I need to find and record from my survey.
His explanation was succinct, but I still couldn't quite grasp what he was saying. Wow, it's pretty neat.
You have no idea what I just said, do you?
Rio clearly wasn't fooled by my bluff. I get it, kinda. I just can't picture you actually playing with that little drone thingy. Are you gonna use it now? I'd be interested to see how it works.
Go ahead and get in the tent. You can watch me from the window in there.
I'd like to see it work up close, though. I won't get in your way.
Aren't you a stubborn one? No still means no. Go on and get in the tent.
Reluctantly, I did as I was told. Whoa! I wasn't expecting the tent to be so well equipped. It had nearly everything we could need, and it appeared to be super comfortable. I mean, he's got a bed, he's got a desk, he's got a fucking, observatory. Like, shit. Like, he set this all fucking up. This came out of a backpack, by the way. Like, how? What kind of bag that you had hidden that had this motherfucking tent and, all this shit inside of it, a laptop, all the... Seriously, I'm not... But this is the most far-fetched part of this whole entire game. Not the human experimentation and the vectors and the dead... It's the... How the fuck did all this Harry Potter shit come out of that backpack? Are you a wizard, Rio? He's motherfucking Rio Potter over here. Like, what the shit? There was a bed, as well as a table, a chair, and a small shelf. The shelf was stacked with jars of dirt, plants, and water samples, each categorized according to where they'd been collected. Seems he's telling the truth about being a surveyor. All the machines sure look the part. You got your own little research lab here.
And has everything I need to analyze soil and water samples. Well, I'll be operating the drone outside. Stay here and behave.
With that, Rio exited the tent and left me alone inside. And I really wanted to see it up close. Pouting, I peered out of the tent window. I watched Rio walk up to the drone, which was lying on the ground. He moved it so I can get a better view of what he's doing. How sweet. He sounded dismissive about my curiosity, but he was actually doing something nice for me. I smiled a little as I focused on what Rio was doing. He began fiddling around with some tool that looked like a controller. The drone's propellers started spinning, and then it lifted into the air. Wow, it's really flying! It seemed to be seeking something from its high vantage point, like Rio had suggested. Rio's eyes followed it into the sky as it ascended. I could tell he looked rather excited. He definitely seems like he's enjoying himself. I've never seen Rio look so carefree before. It was a real change from his usual poker face. Maybe Rio was the type of person who only expressed emotions when he was alone. He was always taciturn when he worked with the Blooms. I figured he was just playing a role of sorts. He likely hid his true self when he was with us. He always kept himself at arm's length. I guess he never let his guard down in Theta. Maybe he only feels like he can relax and be himself outside the colony. This Rio was a bright spot against the overcast skies outside the colony. The scene made my heart race. Before long, the sun dipped below the horizon, and we were enveloped in darkness. The night was pitch black compared to nights in the colony. Thick clouds obscured the moon and stars, blocking whatever light they shed. The only light came from the campfire Rio set up outside, as well as the lamps inside the tent. His work done, Rio joined me inside. His hands were full of hot drinks and food.
I got something for you to eat. It's just rations, but it tastes all right.
Thanks for sharing with me. I accepted the food and drink and began eating. The drink was hot tea, and the food Rio called rations was actually very tasty. I'd never had anything like it. It's astronaut ice cream!
It's a granola bar.
We ate in silence for a while before I decided to ask Rio about the machine he'd used. What were you looking at with the drone?
And turns out there's a new species of plant life growing in between the cracks of the building out there. Want to see a sample?
Rio lifted a bottle from the desk and showed me the plant inside. It looked like moss. Is this really something rare? I don't know a lot about plants, so I can't tell. I assumed someone as knowledgeable as Rio knew what he was looking at, unlike myself. Rio, doing this survey stuff revs you up, huh? Rio looked away when I pointed out the change I'd noticed in him.
Really? I don't know about that.
I decided to ask him something that had been on my mind since I first saw the drone, even though I already knew what the answer was going to be. Can I try flying the drone? As expected, Rio shot me down.
No way. It's not a toy. It'll be a major problem if you crash it and it breaks.
I promise I won't crash it. If it looks like it's about to fall, I'll just lift it back up with my psychokinesis.
No doubt you'll overdo it, like how you turn the tree branches into matchsticks. No way am I letting you touch it.
Ouch. But he was onto something. I still lacked control. I wouldn't overdo it. I'd be fine, I think. I knew I didn't sound convincing, even as the words left my mouth. I felt quiet and sipped my tea. He did a great job preparing this tea and meal. He must do it all the time. And he had his tent hidden out here all ready to go, well in advance. Do you come here often?
Every time. You come here often? Well, not just here. There are other similar spots that I visit. I switch up locations based on the day.
I was surprised to learn that he had multiple hidden base camps outside the colony. But if he had all his stuff prepared in advance, he'll always have a safe spot to squirrel away in. When I thought about it that way, it didn't seem strange that he had so many hiding spots. Rio's activities weren't officially sanctioned, however. Was it alright for him to have these little base camps hidden away everywhere? Wouldn't it be bad news if the higher-ups from Theta found this tent?
I'm not careless. If I get wind that we're about to be spotted, we can just head to another camp and make this one disappear.
He spoke with complete confidence. No doubt he had lots of hands-on experience at keeping a low profile. He's opened up way more than I thought he would, but he's still so mysterious. All I knew for sure was that Rio wasn't siding with the Blooms or the Vectors. That and he was surveying the landscape outside the colony for one reason or another. You could ask. I had no idea what he hoped to accomplish with the survey. Again, you could ask. Maybe if I dug up that much, I'd unlock some of Rio's deeper truths. Would he tell me if I asked? As of right now, I don't think he would.
Hello? Sorry to interrupt your daydreaming.
Rio was speaking to me. I looked over. He was done eating, but I'd been spacing out, my fork suspended in midair. I know it looks like I spaced out, but I was just doing some deep thinking.
Sure, whatever. Anyway, we should bunk down for the night. It's already pretty dark outside.
Oh. I'd followed Rio on a whim, not thinking about what I'd face on the outside. Now the terrain was cloaked in deep darkness, and there was little chance I could find my way back to Tao safely. Is it really okay if I stay?
It's not a matter of okay. Trying to get back to the colony in this darkness would be suicide.
Yeah, I think you're right. I was actually just thinking the same thing. I came all this way and never even planned to head for nightfall. How embarrassing. After that, I helped Rio clean up. By the time we were done, it was quite late. Then I was hit with another thought. Rio said I could sleep here, but where am I supposed to sleep exactly?
In bed with me, of course. Ooh, just...
Oh, I'd be pretty fucking shocked if that came out of his mouth. The tent only had one cot. He probably figured I'd sleep on the floor since I joined his expedition without an invite. He is not going to make you sleep on the floor.
And let's get some sleep. You can use the bed.
When Rio announced opposite arrangements, I panicked a little. I can't take the bed. I followed you here, so I should be the one to sleep on the floor. Rio began walking toward me, fixing me with a hard gaze that indicated I should stop talking.
Excuse me?
I feel like she's going to be all shocked and he's going to be like, I'm just fucking kidding. But I can't believe this is coming out of your mouth right now.
One bed's all I need to collect your gratitude.
What? Oh! Hi, hello!
Hot, not gonna lie. Although, wildly inappropriate. You just pinned me to a wall. I'm okay with this. I should not be okay with this, but I am okay with this. This is nefarious and so wrong.
That's all it took. Before I knew what was happening, Rio backed me up against the wall of the tent. He leaned forward, putting his lips by my ear.
Seriously. Haven't you given a single thought to what might happen if you follow a man back to his place?
Not this. Well, not this men are wolves bullshit, but also nobody else is gonna tell me that. And you are way too old. You are an adult, sir. Oh, good lord. What does he mean? He certainly had no regard for my personal space. My heart began pounding in my chest, the reverberations echoing loudly in my ears. See, it would totally flip him a fucking on his ass if you were like, okay, let's go. I think you're hot. And he'd be like, what? Wait a minute. Because I feel like he's trying to teach us a lesson. I don't think he's really trying to get inappropriate with us. Maybe a little bit. Maybe somewhere inside he's like, actually, if she was cool with it, I'd be cool with it. But like, I feel like he's like, I'm just, seriously, fucking regard your own safety, dumbass. You know what I mean? But also, we can fucking literally psychokinesis his ass across the fucking tent, so. Collect my gratitude? No, he can't possibly mean, not that. I'd never even imagined being in this scenario. My mind went white with panic. It is weird, though, that every single one of the, like, villainous justice ones have to be a little, like, inappropriate. Like, Yukonami tried to choke us to death. Hyuga was not as bad, but still it was, like, he was still a little violent and douchey. Ibuki was, like, ready to slaughter all humanity, and we were afraid of him. You know what I mean? And now, you know, Rio's getting a little rapey. You know what I mean? It's like, what? They don't all, just because they're on the other side, doesn't mean they all have to be like, ooh, we have to make them do, like, horrible things. You know what I mean? I kind of get Ibuki being a little cray-cray and us being a little concerned because of how he was raised. It makes sense. Like, Hyuga being extremely violent. Like, I mean, some of it makes sense, but, like, I'm kind of curious as to why you thought this made... Well, he's on the villainous justice, so we gotta make him somehow, and he's been nice, so now let's make him inappropriate. Like, you did... I don't... Did you really? Come on, seriously? It's like they really went black and white with like, we have the good boys who are nice and sweet and then you have the bad guys who are going to try to choke you and then rape you. You know what I mean? And you're like, you didn't really have to go black and white with it. There could have been like, you know what I mean? Come on. But I mean, this CG is actually kind of hot, so I'm not complaining too much. I never met. Okay, yeah.
I can't deny you look pretty cute when you transform. I like how your hair grows out.
I could feel myself blushing, but Rio chose to ignore it. He reached out and quietly played with the ends of my hair. Yeah, I don't... If you're joking, you're taking it real far. Cute? Endless possibilities flitted through my mind, feeding into my panic. What should I do? Kiss him. Rio suddenly brought his face right up to mine. Oh my god.
And this is a perfect opportunity to school you on what happens when you let your guard down. You're about to learn a hard lesson, I bet.
I should not be making jokes like this. You can't say things like that, sir. I froze with a mixture of confusion, shame, and fear. I felt my body tense up. Okay. Well, I mean, I was gonna actually question, how are we gonna romance this man if he really gets inappropriate like this and doesn't be like, seriously, I'm not gonna do anything, but god damn it, girl, think about your surroundings. And then, like, you know, kind of just like, this is just a lesson, and I was just joking, like, not joking around, but hard knock life lesson, but isn't actually going to assault you. But still, I was gonna be like, how the fuck are you gonna fall in love with him? But, to be fair, how many times have we had routes like this in games where they get all like this, like, oh, men are wolves, oh my god, I can't stop myself, whatever. And then you end up falling in love with them anyway. So,
I'm just kidding.
Huh? I was utterly lost. Rio looked at my wide-eyed face with amusement. Okay, see? So Zabe stopped at least, but it's one of those like, you know, okay. Okay. Alright, it's fine. Listen, I'm not gonna say like this scenario right here where he's getting a little, you're like, you're getting all up in my shit and I might be into it. She's not, I am. But like, it's still one of those like, they threw it in like, okay, he's kidding, fine. But you didn't have to make every single person in like the villainous justice route do something kind of douchey. You know what I mean? Like, But at the same time, I'm really not complaining about this CG in the scenario where you pin me up against a wall, because I like that. We know this. You know?
First you blush and now you're pale. Your emotions sure change on the fly, don't they? It's funny to watch, that's for sure. You can relax. I have no interest in a kid like you.
And yet, and yet, and yet, and yet.
I have my own sleeping bag. I'll sleep in that.
Then Rio pulled himself away from me and started getting ready for bed. I stood frozen against the wall for a few more moments. Oh, he had a sleeping bag the whole time. But that's not the issue here. What the heck was that all about? And what does he mean by calling me a kid? Because you are to him, so the romance should never happen. To be fair. And that's, okay, no, like, listen, I can handle, like, yes, I want to roll my eyes, and I still do at the, like, men are wolves thing, like, oh, dear God, we're doing this again. But you pin me against a wall, and you're getting really, like, hot and bothered, and I can't hate that. But I hate the context they did it under, you know what I mean? Like, don't you know what happens when you follow a man back? I'm gonna kick you in the fucking nuts is what happens. She's got magic power. She can yeet you across the fucking tent if she stopped and thought about it for a second. You know what I mean? But she's in a state of panic, so I get it. But, like, then it's the, I have no interest in a kid like you, and then you're gonna fall in love with me in a couple hours? Sir. I'd feel like he'd be like, please, I have no interest in you like that. Whatever. Because that is like, no interest in you like that at this moment, but I could. But when you throw in the kid, that's disturbing, because then later you're going to stop thinking of her as a kid when she kind of is a child. Well, teenager, but still. You know what I mean? You didn't have to throw that line in there. You didn't have to word it that way. That makes it, like, weirder. Don't make it weird. Because, you know, I was almost vibing, like, okay, Rio's not too bad. Like, I'm intrigued by his route and pin me against a wall, so I'm okay. But then it's like, then you have to call me a kid, and I'm like, stop. Listen, that's my thing. There are routes when there are big age differences, and I'm always like, I don't love it. But, like, I can just pretend in my head and, like, ignore it usually. Mostly. It's when they harp on it. Oh, the age difference. He's so much older than me. So much older age difference. When they harp on it constantly, and that's when you could just stop. But I guess if age difference is like a kink that you enjoy, that's why they bring it up. But I'm like, if you'd stop mentioning it, I could get around. Like, it's in the back of my mind. Like, this might be a little inappropriate, but like, whatever. I'm okay with it at the moment until he says, kid like you, and then you're like, you know what? Now you made me question it. I'll go back to forgetting it. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. As I started to calm down, I realized that he'd been teasing me. Now he was red in the face for a different reason. Because you liked it when he pinned you against a wall? Because I kind of did. He looked good in that CG. Maybe I really am a child. I mean, if something happened, that'd be bad news. But there was no reason for him to tease me like that. He says he has no interest in a child like you, but maybe he kind of does. As I calmed down enough to ruminate over what just happened, I got mad. Really mad. Fine, you'll see. I'll put everything I've got into sleeping in this stupid bed. I huffed with anger as I clambered into the cot. I could feel Rio grinning at my back. I mean, I can't blame him for that. Like, how adorable was that? You're like, I'll put everything I got into sleeping in your cot. And he's like, what the fuck was that, idiot? Adorable.
Lights out.
Rio extinguished the lamp, and the tent was plunged into darkness. The night hung heavy and utterly silent. I was still seething with anger and could hear my heart pounding in the darkness. And no one knows where you are. Well, okay, they know you went to look for Ibuki, and they were probably freaking out. I should be glad nothing actually happened, but instead I feel... How do I describe this? Almost disappointed because you kind of find him sexy, but you just haven't accepted it yet? The more I examine my feelings, the less sure I felt about my actual state of mind. I had a big day, though, and exhaustion overtook me soon enough. I felt my eyelids droop despite still being angry. The gentle sound of the wind accompanied me as I gradually drifted off to sleep. I woke up feeling groggy. Everything around me was unfamiliar. It took me a few moments to sort out my memories. Oh, right. I followed Rio out here. He pitched a tent. Yeah. Phrasing. And that's where I stayed the night. Almost. I looked around. There was no sign of Rio. He must have woken up without me realizing. I was sure I wouldn't sleep a wink all night, but I slept like a baby until morning. My anger over last night's teasing had cooled down thanks to that good night's rest. I got up and looked out the window cautiously. Rio was concentrating on the sky, clearly working on something. I had no idea what he was up to, but I decided to transform and join him outside. There's an outdoor shower and... Oh, you know what? When you take off the jacket, I'm into it too. Like, it's just the vest. And your sleeves rolled up. Oh, stop, it's a little hot. Look, he does have the best outfit, like the vest. You got a vest and glasses. Can't ask for more. I could ask for them to have drawn you a little bit better. Facially, you're beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but there's something about the hair that's just still throwing me off a little. This sprite's good, though. Good morning, Rio.
Oh, you're awake.
Rio never stopped fiddling with the drone's remote controls, even as he greeted me. His eyes were fixed to the sky. He looked serious, not at all like his demeanor last night. That's the remote for the drone you used yesterday, right? What's wrong with it? Rio finally glanced at me before quickly sweeping his gaze back up to the sky.
It stopped responding.
Huh?
It must be hung up on something. I found another plant life specimen this morning and I tried to get a sample. Then this happened.
I followed Rio's eyes and saw the ruins of a once impressive building. The drone seemed to be stuck on its roof.
I want to get it, obviously, but those crumbling stairs are a death trap. I don't know how to climb up there. It'll be a major blow to lose it, but I know when to throw in the towel.
I recalled the expression on Rio's face last night as he flew the drone and found myself speaking before I knew it. Would you like me to get it for you? The words just automatically poured out of me.
You?
Rio looked surprised. I remembered how he mocked me last night and felt my resolve grow stronger. I'll do it as a thanks for letting me stay. That'll be my gratitude. I'll express my gratitude by getting your drone for you. And I did not mean that as a euphemism, sir. Pervy whore. Really, he'd only given me a place to crash, and he treated me like I was a child. Still, I wanted to even the score between us. I get a little bit one-up on him, technically. Rio gave me a slight grin, as if I'd reminded him of the teasing he'd done the night before. Yeah, he's like, I loved that look on your face.
All right, you can try. But what's your plan?
I'll use my psychokinesis to hold the structure together and then jump my way up there. That way I can get to the roof without crossing the floor.
So you'd strengthen your landing area, then jump for the roof. I see.
Okay, here goes. I began to focus my power, but Rio stopped me.
Just a sec. Bring me along if you're gonna do this thing.
Oh my god, we're gonna carry him into the wind. That's kind of romantic and sexy and ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie, we're gonna, carry him. That's kind of hot. Kind of like this. I wasn't expecting him to say that. I looked at him, confused. Why does he want to hitch along? Is there something he needs to do on the roof, aside from me? I feel like this is the only route I can make these, because he's already been inappropriate, so we're just gonna keep getting inappropriate here. You said something about plant life nearby. Do you want to get a sample?
No, nothing like that. I just want to get up there and look at the land from up high. Is that weird to ask?
So in other words, he was just curious. Inquisitive, even. The whimsical nature of his request caught me by surprise. Then I remembered how excited he looked last night. Maybe he did have an innocent streak. You're like, that's adorable. Get back at him for calling you a child. My lips curled into a smile as I thought that over. No, it's not weird in the least. But how was I supposed to carry Rio up onto the roof with me? I guess I can lift him the way I lifted Lizzie, but Rio's much bigger than I am. Looks like this isn't going to be easy. I thought for a moment before I spoke again. All right, or I'll go alone. I feel like all right. I really hope the fuck there is a CG of us carrying him. I want to bridal carry this man. Yeah, please, I need a CG. All right, let's go together.
Really?
Yeah. Thinking about it, my powers made it so Rio's size relative to mine wasn't really an issue. Besides, Rio struck me as the type who never asked for favors. I couldn't let this rare opportunity slip by. If I show him how useful I actually am, maybe he'll stop calling me a kid. I was still salty about Rio comparing me to a child last night. Now I have to figure out how I'm supposed to get Rio up there. Based on Rio's size, it'd be difficult to transport him the same way I'd carried Lizzie. No, I want you to carry him that way. Also, this is less about logistics, but is it okay for me to carry Rio in my arms? I mean, wouldn't it look kind of, you know...
Why are you spacing out? Aren't you going to take me up there?
Rio, how do you feel about me, carrying you?
What?
Rio's jaw hung open in a charmingly unreal-like way. To be fair, my question came out weird. I rephrased it to explain that I was trying to figure out the best way to carry him up to the roof. Rio nodded in understanding.
Oh, so that's what you meant. Circling back on the idea, though, I'd have to be honest, I'm not wild about it. But I think I have a better way.
Rio reached out and grabbed my hand. I immediately understood his intent. I see. Yeah, holding hands like this should also work just fine. No, I wanted to bridal carry him. I really just wanted to do that. It would have been so amazing. Just like that, the problem I'd been so worried about was solved. I just assumed I'd have to carry Rio after having done the same to Lizzie. Well, she was unconscious, though. I took a deep breath to calm down. Then I refocused on gathering the energy I'd need to use my psychokinetic power. Speak to Rio. Silently use your power. Probably... They feel like we have to silently use our power, but speaking to him is probably good for him, right? Now silently use your power. Alright, this should work. I concentrated my energy again while Rio looked on quietly. Our hands still linked. I imagined Rio and I rising as a single body. I tapped into my reservoir of psychokinetic power again. First, a light jump.
Whoa!
We jumped lightly in unison, and it was enough to send us both into the air. We landed on a higher ledge this time, though we were both in danger of losing our balance.
Huh. Well, that was a bit of a surprise. We really did fly.
Sorry about that. I messed up the timing. I'll jump. The next jump will be better. I felt like I was really starting to get the hang of things. There was no doubt about it. Hauling Lizzie around had been good exercise for my powers. I tried to work on controlling my breathing. That's when Rio interjected with a suggestion.
Next time, why don't we try breathing in sync? It might help.
I was the one who had powers, not Rio, but his suggestion did have merit. Probably would help if we were in sync. You're right. Okay, let's try on the count of 3.
All right, go for it.
Here goes. 1, 2, 3! Rio and I floated upward again, buoyed by my psychokinesis. We climbed even higher than any of our previous attempts. We did it!
Yeah.
Rio was seemingly surprised by our success, but he was also clearly enjoying himself. His face lit up with something like wonder. It was a reaction he'd usually keep buried deep inside, but I was seeing his true nature. I almost giggled. Okay, I know that, like, the age difference is a problem, like, deep down inside for me, but, like, if I take that out again, whip it out, you know, he's kind of charming in a way, so, like, I'm okay with this right now. Like, yeah, okay, it was like, are you gonna get inappropriate with me? Because I like it. Don't tempt me here, but I roll my eyes at the men are wolves thing, you know, when they do this, like, don't you know him? Oh, dear God, not again. But we still love trash when they do that, so. And then he laughed at us and called us a child. Don't remind me. But, like, I don't know, like, he's kind of being charmingly adorable. So, like, I'm not hating it. You know what I mean? Like, he's a robot. I like the robots. You got glasses and a vest, plus. And now you're just kind of being, like, a little bit, like, kind of adorable with all these little things. And I'm like, I'm kind of charmed by it. I'm not going to lie. Okay. I don't know. I don't know how. Right now, I'm not on the meh train that, like, Otome Kitten seemed to be on with her bullet points. But we'll see how it goes. But, like, you know. But, I mean, again, everybody's got different types of characters that they like. Like, you know what I mean? A lot of people like, oh, the innocent little baby face character. How many people in Pure Fiore Orlok was their favorite character? And I'm like, it's not that I don't like him, but, like, as a love interest? No. because he's too baby-faced and adorable. And I'm like, nah, I'm not into that. You know what I mean? So, like, you know, as much as I like him as a character and a human being, 2D human being, you know what I mean? Like, you're a good friend, buddy. I don't want to romance you. You know what I mean? And he's somebody's favorite character. So, like, everyone's going to have different likes. But I don't get the mad part yet. I'm kind of okay with this. But again, I like the robots, especially when they're slightly asshole-ish to me. I'm into. You got glasses and you're a robot, or glasses and you're an asshole. Or in this case, you've got glasses and you're a little bit of a robot and an asshole. In a vest! I don't know. I'm being won over, I think. It's strange, though. Holding hands like this with Rio, it honestly feels kind of nice. Really nice. And kind of exciting, too. She's already fallen for him, which is interesting. We landed on an even higher ledge.
Whoops. The footing's getting tricky.
Rio wobbled a little as we made our jump. Seemed like he needed some time to get used to having his body manipulated by my powers. Loosen up. Just trust my psychokinesis. I swear I won't drop you.
Trust in your psychokinesis, eh? Alright, what have I got to lose?
Your life. But whatever. No biggie. Okay, let's aim for that ledge over there. We synced our breathing, then jumped. Rio was a quick learner, and his jumps were strong and true. We still had some distance to cover, but I didn't think Rio would mind. He just seemed thrilled about having the chance to share my powers. He held my hand tightly so we wouldn't get separated. His grip felt strong and reliable, enveloping mine. Come to think of it, this is the first time I've ever held a man's hand. The realization was only hitting me now. Suddenly I felt weirdly nervous. I squeezed Rio's hand reflexively, and he turned to me with a playful grin.
What's up? Nervous?
What? What makes you say that?
Your palm's an ocean of sweat.
What? No way! What kind of guy even says something like that to a girl? Shaken, I tried to yank my hand away at a reflex.
Yeah, you're gonna take a joke that seriously?
Didn't sound like a joke. Look, let's just get to the next ledge, alright? He's like, you were trying to pull his hand. He's like, whoa, you're gonna drop me. Don't say my hand's sweaty, bitch. Be careful the shit that you say when your life is literally in my sweaty palms. We crept toward the roof, ledge by ledge, lightly bickering the entire way. And then like this, him ribbing us constantly. Like, I don't know. I'm not hating it. I'm actually having fun. I kind of am too. Felt like everything to do with the vectors, the blooms, and the rest of it belonged to another time, another place. I glanced to my side and saw Rio there, smiling. His eyes met mine.
You're great.
What? His words surprised me. My heart pounded. Does he mean he envies me because of my superpowers? That would make sense, right? It was my best guess based on the situation. I just have to make sure I don't get the wrong idea. There's nothing romantic attached to that comment, is there? See, she has already fallen hard for him, you know? Heck, just the other night he made that clever crack about not liking kids. The other night, you mean last night. If I got the wrong idea about his intentions, he'd mock me forever. But those two simple words from Rio had me all shook up. Just like a kid, frankly. We finally made it to the top of the building. We located the drone, retrieved it, and returned safely to the ground. To be honest, I would have loved to stay a bit longer and take in the view from the rooftop, but Rio wanted to check out the drone ASAP. Rio started tinkering with it immediately, assessing it for damage. I stood and watched him quietly. Is it okay? Is it broken?
Nothing's broken, thankfully. We're lucky. It could have smashed on impact.
Rio seemed greatly relieved. I couldn't help feeling the same. I see. Oh, I'm so glad.
Spacey, thank you. I really owe you one.
You can... That's when you get all close to him and like, well, there's a cot in there, you can show me your gratitude. He'd be like, what? And you'd be like, it doesn't feel so good, does it, bitch? But I mean, really, if you wanted to, I'd be okay with that. Oh, he said my name. As far as I knew, that was the first time Rio had ever called me by my first name. Maybe I'm starting to squeeze some respect out of him. That makes me very happy. Yeah, it does. You're into him. I thought about last night again. And feeling a little smug, I grinned at Rio. Please tell me. No need to thank me, but now we're even for the shelter you gave me last night.
You're still hung up on that, huh?
Just glad to be of service. Don't phrase it like that, girl, because he can find another way you can service him. Something between us seemed to lighten up. The mood was relaxed, almost friendly. Our conversation continued. Is there anything else you need to do here? Let me know how I can help out. But then Rio...
Nope.
His face suddenly hardened. He shook his head.
I don't need you anymore. You can go back now.
But...
You shouldn't linger here. Don't bother with me or my affairs anymore.
His words cut straight to my core. Rio's intense mood swing was hurtful as it was baffling. You know what I mean? You know what it is? He's like, yeah, we're having fun. And then he's like, no, you need to leave. Catching myself. We can't be friends. And like, wait, I'm enjoying your company. Nope. You know what I mean? Maybe after he pinned us to the wall and tried to get all like, was saying inappropriate shit. He wasn't really trying to get inappropriate. Then he's in bed going like, Actually, I kind of liked that. We were laughing together only moments before. I thought we were warming up to one another. Was I reading too far into things? Nah, he's covering his ass now. Why are you being so... all of a sudden... Well, I didn't expect to find you all the way out here. Ah, okay, or because Ibuki's sneaking up. I whirled around and faced the unexpected voice. It belonged to Ibuki, who should have been back in Tao. Interesting. So the second he saw Ibuki, he's like, yeah, no, I'm done with you. You can leave now. Whatever. I don't need your help. And you're like, why are you acting like a cold asshole? Here's Ibuki. He keeps himself hidden and he's opening up to us, but no one else. That's kind of adorable. Huh? Ibuki? Ibuki ignored Rio's death glare as he walked up to us calmly. Yeah, because you know Ibuki's a little bit more age appropriate for me. Not really. He's still 21, but whatever. I've been looking for you, Spacey. I froze up for a moment. I hadn't expected to encounter Ibuki here. He said he was looking for me, but how did he track me here? I tried to get over my shock as Ibuki shifted his gaze between Rio and I. He seemed amused. And isn't this interesting? Rio keeping company with the girl. Never thought I'd see the day. Huh. The way he said that, seems like he's surprised by Rio's actions, not mine. Ibuki's words suggested he was surprised to see Rio in the company of another person, period. My presence was irrelevant. Was it that weird for Rio to have company? I tried to think of why that'd be the case.
And don't get the wrong idea, Ibuki. She just followed me of her own accord.
Yet you didn't chase her away. Ibuki casually dismissed Rio's denial before turning to me, concern written on his face. I'm glad you were right. I was worried when Lizzie came to me in tears. I tensed up when I heard Lizzie's name, thought about how I just left her in Tao without so much as a goodbye. I was away all night and I didn't even tell Lizzie where I was going. She was beside herself when you didn't return. I began to worry about you too, so I went looking for you. I not only upset Lizzie, but also inconvenienced Ibuki. I felt terrible about all of it. I'm so sorry, Ibuki. And what I did to Lizzie was horrible. I'll head back immediately. I think that's a good idea. Ibuki nodded slightly, then he shot a pointed look at Rio. Also, it might be best if you avoid hanging around Rio in the future. Why? Because Rio is everyone's enemy. Everyone's enemy? Ibuki's choice of words made me shiver a little. I know Rio's not really on the Blooms or the Vector's side, but why go as far as to call him everyone's enemy? Can't be true, can it? Maybe. Maybe he's got more secrets. Interesting. I turned to Rio, hoping he'd adamantly deny the accusation. Rio, my hopes withered. Rio neither confirmed nor denied what Ibuki said. He simply frowned, his face dark. I fell silent at Rio's non-response. I was filled with restless unease. Hey, aren't you going to shoot back at him? Please, say something. Anything. This time my prayers seemed to reach him. After a long silence, Rio opened his mouth.
Ibuki's not lying. And you shouldn't come around here anymore.
There was a piercing finality to Rio's words. When Rio told me not to come back, I suddenly realized I really enjoyed spending time with him. I couldn't say why it was enjoyable. Maybe it was because everything was so new and exciting. Rio's tools and machinery, sleeping in a tent. Yeah, the new experiences were part of it, but spending time with Rio is what really made it fun. She's really already hooked on him. My memory recalled the boyish smile Rio let slip when he flew the drone earlier. I want more. With Rio, I want... Come along, Spacey. My thoughts evaporated when Ibuki called out to me. I wasn't even sure how that thought would have finished. Rio asked you to leave. Let's get moving. Oh. Ibuki took my hand and tugged at me with surprising force. I couldn't stop him, but I turned back to Rio. He looked like his old reserved self, but when we made eye contact, I could sense an inner conflict. Are you really our enemy? If that's the case, what are you trying to do? I wanted to stay, but Ibuki was pulling and Rio was pushing. I couldn't stick around. I let Ibuki lead me away from Rio as regret ate at my core. Will I ever see him again? Well, yeah, because I gotta romance him, so. A deep loneliness filled my chest with pain. I think it's interesting because, like, Ibuki, yeah, like, all of a sudden it was like, oh my god, I'm terrified of him and everything, and it's like, but yet with Rio, it's like instantly in love with him. It's very strange how they're doing that. I'm not complaining. Like, I actually so far don't mind Rio's character. It is a little inappropriate, the age difference, but like, that's really my only problem. And to be fair, with all the stuff that's happening, I'm like, it's kind of like erasing from my mind until he says we're a kid, and then you're like, don't mention that, you know? But like, again, Ibuki's 21, and, you know, Hugo was 24, so also kind of age inappropriate, but like, whatever, you know what I mean? I mean, Yukonami was 19, so if we're like 17, that's only a 2-year age difference. But he's mentally a child, so that's inappropriate just on our part. So, I don't know, you know? But honestly, like, I'm not as weirded out on Rio as I, like, was, like, prepared to be. Like, I don't know about this. I don't know. I find him kind of charming so far. And intriguing. Like, I'm very interested to find out where it goes. So, I don't know. Anyway, I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.